And so without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to our first candidate for Iowa Democratic Party Chair, Sandy Dockendorff.
Hi. How are you? I'd just like to say whoever the staff member was who decided to bring the warm cider today deserves an award. I don't know, humanitarian award, to me, but let's give them a round of applause. Most of you know who I am. I am Sandy Dockendorff. I have been a member of this committee as the state rules chair for several cycles. I'm currently an elected member from the 2nd District. I'm also a county chair from Des Moines County. Des Moines County used to be Union Blue, is now Union Red. Somebody that I served on the school board with is an electrician, lives on the corner from the school. Had Trump signs in his yard, and at that point I knew we were in trouble. And when I called him and said, "What's going on?" he said, "You've stopped talking my language. You don't care about jobs. You're not interested in making sure that schools stay in our rural communities." And I said, "Well, that's not true. None of that's true. We care about jobs. We care about schools. We care about education. It's what we do. It's what Democrats are known for, because it's what we were used to be known for. Now you have candidates that talk about other things and other candidates, and you don't have an identity anymore as a party." And that's one of the things that I'd like to change as party chair. It doesn't sound different than anything that I've said as a member of this committee. We need to have a social media and PR campaign that identifies who we are to our voters. All of us can define who we are as Democrats. The rank and file voters no longer can, and that has to change. We allow our candidates to define us. We allow them to define us from the primary through the general election. Well, the election starts 40 days before Election Day, which gives a candidate about 3.5 months to get through a media frenzy. If we start the process of defining ourselves from Election Day of 1 year through starting through for the next election, then our candidates have a reason to vote for us, even when a candidate isn't clear in their messaging, even when we don't have the strongest candidate. We need to be able to do that. The other thing that I want to do, people talk about hiring people to do all these things. We have thousands of people that are volunteers because they believe in an issue. And we need to uncover them and train them to be the advocates that we need to support our legislators, particularly right now. Now, I'm going to give you an idea. If a guy in a red portion of Iowa starts calling because he's been trained to do so, his GOP legislator, and say, "I want you to fund public education like it needs to be funded in my community," and he continues to talk to people in his community about that issue because it's something that he believes in his core needs to happen, that person is going to ultimately be a candidate who is well prepared to run in that highly Republican area and is liable to do well in that area. Because when you don't label the issues, if you just talk to people about the issues, they agree with us on the issues, regardless of whether they're Democrats or Republicans. And we have to talk to them about the issues. And that's what I want to do. I will commit to doing the fundraising. I know you all are concerned about doing that. I have done that. Des Moines County has money in the bank right now, $4,000 or so. Yes, we didn't spend the money. Yes, we lost Tom Courtney, but 10 days out, he was 10 points ahead. So I want to leave the bulk of this to answering questions. So, yes.
Sandy, can you elaborate on why you are uniquely qualified to lead the IUP?
Uniquely qualified. I think every candidate that we have out here running is qualified to run the IUP.
I'm asking, why are you uniquely qualified?
I am uniquely qualified because I am a member of a rural community who feels like they are being disenfranchised by our party. I don't have to do much to reach out to them, basically talk over the back fence. I already talk to those people every day, and I think that I can lead the party to representing their point of view in a way that doesn't disenfranchise anybody else in the party. Yes.
We're going to need to provide a microphone just to folks who are asking questions, so.
Okay, this was submitted by someone in the 3rd District. Do you think there is a better method of reporting caucus results, and how would you work with the Republican chair to improve the caucus process?
I serve on the caucus review committee. We've talked to the Republicans on what their point of view is. We're looking at some really innovative things, one of which was the absentee ballots. I served on that subcommittee of that committee, looking at using instant runoff or ranked choice as a means of doing that. In terms of the results, I think we need to be clearer about how those delegates are allocated, and then be able to, it makes it a lot easier to address how we tell people how the results. If we stop looking at it as one caucus and look at it as 1,682 caucuses, it makes a lot more sense.
You mentioned that social media is going to be part of your strategy. Can you be more specific about that?
It takes 12 to 18 months to get any sort of PR or social media campaign through the media haze. We need to start from day one and get that off the ground. If you turn on your computer, you see ads on your computer all the time, whether you're looking at YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, it doesn't matter, there's ads, you should be part of that.
Sandy, if you are elected chair, you will be a member of the DNC. Who are you planning to support as chair for the DNC?
The candidate whose vision of bringing our party back to its grassroots.
Hi, Sandy. So if you were not to win, would you offer the same level of availability and support to the party and its members?
Absolutely. I've been doing this as state rules chair for many cycles. I don't anticipate, and as a SEC member now from the 2nd District, my support for the party is unwavering.
Sandy, you mentioned that some rural voters feel that the party is not speaking their language anymore and that they're speaking about other things. I want to know, what do you feel those other things are that they're not wanting to be hearing about?
Basically what their highest frustration is we talk about their opponents, our candidates talk about their opponents more than they talk about what they're going to do, and it frustrates them. Laura has a question.
Stand up.
For minority populations, how are you going to reach out to them, and what have you done in the past to reach out to minority populations in Iowa?
Thank you for asking that question. As it's taken me 10 years through this committee to get it to the point where our constituency caucuses could be unfettered from the state convention and would have an identity of their own and the ability to go out and grow on their own. And I think that is going to be the basis for the growth and future diversity of our party. I am in love with the way our diversity caucuses have grown in the last year. They met at their first convention. I was there. Very, very interesting day. At their next workshop, I was there and listened to them come together and learn to just open their wings and fly. I think the future of our party lies with those constituency caucuses, and I can't be more proud that it went through my subcommittee to get them in the position of freedom that they have right now.
Yeah, Sandy. I'm Brenda Brink. As a member of the Affirmative Action and Outreach Subcommittee, I have a good question here. How would you, as chair, and the party as a whole, support non-traditional yet qualified candidates during the primaries? And I'm very bothered also about the lack of, the fact that we don't have every race contested.
You're going to hear from every one of our candidates say that we want people to be every race contested. I want every race primary. The more people we get out there, and I'm sorry, I know there's some people in the Senate who are just cringing right at the moment. It isn't a waste of resources to have people in the primary. It is an opportunity, and it isn't an investment in getting our message out. And we need to applaud that, and we need to encourage it. In terms of getting non-traditional candidates, when we work to make our base the advocates for the issues that impassion them, they naturally rise to the top as leaders, and that's when they become candidates.
Okay, this is a question as well. How do you plan to engage or activate Democrats who don't want to be on the Central Committee but have the skills to contribute to it?
having a great example of that. We have a millennial young man in Des Moines County who stepped up, went through the whole process, came to our first meeting, and I asked him what he would like to contribute, and his skill set is with computers, and he's now our social media director. He doesn't come to all the meetings, but he does contribute, and he is. And I'll tell you the other things. One of the most frustrating things that happened to me shortly after that is his language isn't what's considered appropriate for some of our other members, and we had this confrontation online and at a meeting where one of our long-term great supporters said, I will not, stand for that language. And we said, whoa, let's step back a little bit. We have to let people live in their zones that they live in. So we need to be open and welcoming to different people from different generations and different points of view. Anybody else?
Sandy, I got an audience-submitted question for you.
Okay.
Someone wanted me to ask you, if you were elected chair, do you plan on keeping the second and third vice chair positions?
Let me understand, for the IDP?
Yes.
That's the role of the state civil committee to determine how many vice chairs they have.
Would you support keeping those positions?
So long as they have a role.
Okay.
I'm looking for a team. I don't want to do this. Nobody can do this alone. There's going to have to be a team effort to get the job done that we have. We have a big list. Holly has a question.
We're now going to unmute Tammy Laura so she can ask a question from Maestro.
Tammy,
We're trying to do our best with the technology. Tammy, you're unmuted.
Hi, Tammy.
Hi, Tammy. Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thanks for taking my call. As you all know, we're in the chair of the Labor Caucus, and we believe that over the next 2 years, our collective bargaining rights, our union contracts, and other issues that are really specific to our core and, quite frankly, the Democratic core or history, are right now on the chopping block, and I'm curious what your plans are to stand in solidarity with us and with labor across the state.
Thank you, Tammy, for that question. I think that it's going to be very important for whoever's elected as chair to be in union halls across the state, working with rank and file members in understanding what their concerns are, and I really believe that we're going to have thousands of people calling to the legislature, regardless of who they're being represented by, to support our candidates on their point of view. And Chapter 20 is one of those things. We really are going to have to develop an army of advocates for our issues. But I do think we need to be in the union halls and hear what their folks have to say in terms of how we have, in their point of view, failed them and what we can do to meet the needs, both in the legislative and just as a party in general.
In rural areas, there's often a perception that the Democratic Party isn't actively present. How do we correct that perception?
You go to those places. And I can tell you this from the outset, you have to look at Dave Losack. He was a bright shining star in terms of who won this election, and he did it because he knows showing up is 99% of the battle in rural communities. If you just show up. But he also fights for broadband, and he fights for keeping our schools, and he fights for sectors. Bill was the only bipartisan bill that passed in the legislature. Those are focused on the very issues that rural communities are concerned about, and I think we should follow his guidance in that regard.
Sandy, I've got a question about staffing requirements.
Yes.
And I think maybe you differ a little bit from some of the other candidates. We've talked about hiring staff, we've talked about giving money to county parties, and it sounds like you want to depend more on voluntary staffing. How would you differ in terms of paid staff versus voluntary staff, particularly for the district outreach people?
I think our districts are underutilized, our district simple committees are underutilized, and I can say that as a district chair. I think that in the last cycle, we were stepped over, and we had district field organizers, and they were helpful. But I think at the end of the day, it is that district central committee and those members for the districts who need to be doing this job of outreach and training to the community, to the counties. The one staff member I'd like to add is a communications person who can help with our social media and PR campaigns. I am, thank you very much. Sorry, you said stop.